Yes, Your Honor, we met with Ms. Galloway and went over her proposed exhibits. Our concern is that without the entirety of the data with the UFED reader in the digestible format from 2025, our ability to have any sense of what the context of those exhibits is, or if there's more to any of the things offered in that exhibit, is severely hampered. And so I don't think that a partial exclusion as a remedy would solve the concern that we make, because we haven't had time to be able to make use of the 2025 data that may underlie some of it. The state's proffer of exhibits includes the underlying identifying like slides that would show the make and model of the phone, its serial number when it was made, those kinds of things that more readily identify the phone, and then a series of photographs of Mr. McIntyre with some are selfies by himself, some are of family members, some are with other individuals. There are
With regards to the make and model of the phone was seized, so you would have known the type of phone it was and what the make and model of it was, since you've had access, knowledge of the phone. You've had knowledge of the phone since 2017 at least.
But we didn't have access to
it. And Your Honor, I mean, as a practical matter, if we're talking about the identifiers of the phone themselves, if that was the only thing that the state was offering out of the phone, then we would, of course, without waiving our objections under the motion to suppress, really not have anything.
You said that your issue, the things that you were concerned about, one of them was the make and model of the phone. Did I hear incorrectly? That's what you were saying. So
no, Your Honor, I just want to make sure that I'm clear. I said several things. I'm giving you a litany of all of the things that the prosecutor just showed us, which were to include identifiers of the phone, photographs of Mr. McIntyre, photographs of some of Mr. McIntyre's family and friends, photographs of Mr. McIntyre, ostensibly, Mr. McIntyre doing certain things like filling out a document. What the prosecutor is going to argue with those things, obviously, is beyond the purview of this. I can't tell that in advance. And I don't have the metadata. So if I hear an argument from the prosecutor about what one of those photographs means, or why it is significant, or why it proves some element of the offense, I wouldn't be able to go into the metadata to try and demonstrate why the prosecutor's interpretation is wrong. The other thing I want to make clear of, though, is that there's a secondary concern, which is that contemporaneous with the state's 2025 production of this secondary dump with the UFED reader, as the court will recall, it came to the defense's attention that in, I believe, 2019 or 2020, the cooperating accomplice witness, Joanna Reyes, went on the record in this court pursuant to her plea agreement and gave testimony under oath as a condition of her plea, outlining her involvement and participation in the alleged offense. And we were not made aware of the existence of that transcript until January of this year. The court had a hearing on the matter, and the matter was unsealed from her cause number so that we would have access to that information in advance of trial. There are some concerning aspects of Ms. Reyes's testimonial account that differ from previous statements that Ms. Reyes has given to law enforcement, particularly remarks about her relationship with Mr. McIntyre that would be essentially 404B conduct, in the sense that she has implied that Mr. McIntyre and Ms. Reyes's relationship was not fully consensual, or that she felt forced or coerced into being with him. And I believe that in light of that, the extent that the 2025 dump may contain material that would be impeaching to Ms. Reyes on that matter, since Ms. Reyes's phone, I don't believe, has been imaged or dumped in this case. And so there are several different aspects of this where a remedy that just says, let's isolate these few things from the 2017 extraction in PDF form, and we'll only let the state use those things, doesn't fully cure the problem of the untimely discovery production, because it also has this component of we can't go back and vet the contentions that they make. And we have not been able to make meaningful use of the phone to go and vet the contentions that Ms. Reyes made in that transcript that we just received this year. And so I understand that the court was hoping that that remedy might split the baby in some
No,
way and
I
allow
was
for
not
this.
having any hope to
Rest.
anything. I'm just here to listen to both arguments. I have no hopes, no dreams with regards to whatever arguments either side is making. I'm just here to listen to your argument and make a ruling. Whether you all agree with the state's proposal to exclude the information from January 2025 to February 3rd, 2025, that's completely within the state's purview if they want to do it. It appears that the state is saying, court, we don't need you to rule on the January 28th, 2025, February 3rd, 2025 information because we are going to exclude that and not use that. So whatever you all have reached an agreement to or whatever.
There is no agreement.
All right, so there you go. So the state has said that they have no intention to offer the January 28, 2025, February 3rd, 2025 information that you all say that you received. And that information is information that's additional from the information that was received in 2017. Is there anything else?
We would ask the court to exercise its discretion under Heath and exclude the entirety of Mr. McIntyre's cell phone in either version from the trial of the cause pursuant to Article 3914, the Due Process Clause, 5th and 14th Amendments, Brady versus Maryland, and Heath and Watkins.
All right, state.
Judge, they've had the 2017 dump since at least 2018 by their own stipulation. And so I, just to make this process go along faster, agreed to exclude the 2025. I mean, if they want the 2025 stuff in, I'm fine with that. But, I've complied with, especially the 2017 version, it was turned over pursuant to Brady and Heath in a timely, reasonable manner. When the case and dump occurred in 2017, it was given to them back in 2017. And so I believe that we should be able to use that.
A cell phone with that much material on it and a 4,000-page report that describes the material on it cannot be said to be timely produced if it's produced a month and a half prior to the date of trial's commencement. The previous version of this thing was unusable, and I want the court to be aware, if both versions are allowed in the course of this, and no matter how the court rules, the problem the state's going to have is when we look at how the images exist on the 2017 version, they're little postage stamp size thumbnail images along with a code descriptor of where it is on the file location. But that's not what they want to offer. They want to offer a blown up version of the photograph, but they're not using the 2017 version to make the blow up of the photograph. They have to use the 2025 version because that has enough pixels to actually enhance. So even if they say that the content that they're using is from the original dump, that's not accurate. They're going to have to use the 2025 enhanced version of it in order to make an exhibit that you wouldn't need a jeweler's loupe to be able to look at in the course of publishing it to the jury. And so they can't separate these things out. The bottom line is that if they were going to make use of this forensic material in a forensic way for trial, that should have been done at some juncture other than in 2025 for this trial date.
All right, so is there anything else from the defense?
Only that they can access this material, which what we are gonna get from 2017, we cannot. It's just like a sheet of paper. There's no way to access when you see the thumbnail, they were able to go into it and look at it. We still can't, even with the 2025. And we certainly couldn't with the paper. You can't do anything without it with PDF.
All right. So this is the court's ruling. The court is finding that the giving of information on January 28, 2025 through February 3rd, 2025, that's in addition to what was given in 2017. The court is going to find that that wasn't untimely given. By the defense's own admission, they didn't give the information to their experts till a month after That information was given to them. The court is finding that the information given in 2017 was not untimely because here we are in 2025, and that information was given to the defense, according to the defense, in 2017. And based upon the argument by the defense stated that it was their strategy to not say anything about the thumbnails that they could not see, and that was their strategy. This is what the court is going to do. Because the state is saying that they are not going to use and will not use the additional information that was given to the defense on January 28, 2025 to February 3rd, 2025, I'm going to hold the state to that, and I'm going to exclude that because the state is agreeing to exclude that. But that information, the court is finding that it was timely turned over to the defense. But I will exclude it because the state is agreeing to exclude it. With regards to the data that was given to the defense in 2017, the court is going to find that that data was timely given. And the fact that the defense is saying that you would need a jeweler's equipment in order to see the data tells me that the data was available for viewing. With that being said, if you could bring the jurors in, please, and state,
Your Honor,
make
just
sure your witness is available.
a couple of just housekeeping matters for the preservation of the record. In light of the court's ruling, we would re-urge the motion for continuance that we urged in preparation of the last setting. We would ask that the court give us additional time to be able to prepare this matter for trial and to be able to rely upon the 2025 disclosure data, because we anticipate that there could be favorable material in it. And so that we can make use of the metadata underlying the state's proposed exhibits from the 2017 data.
All right, motion for continuance is denied.
And Your Honor, lastly, with respect to the court's ruling this morning on our motion to suppress evidence, both under the four corners and under our request for a Franks v. Delaware hearing, we would request written findings of fact and conclusions of law.
All right, thank you. All right, let's bring the jurors in.
All right, for the jury,
Your Honor, the instruction.
About the bathroom.
Oh, no, I remember that. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there was something that neither party spoke to you during voir dire, and I did not speak to you as well. During voir dire, that is the only time that the prosecutors or the defense can speak to you. So if they see you anywhere else and they don't smile at you, or you say hello to them and they don't say hello back to you, it's not that they're being mean or rude. It's just that they are not allowed to communicate with you during the duration of this trial. Does everyone understand? All right, thank you. All right, state, call your next witness, please.
State calls Elizabeth Adams.
Yeah.
Right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear. If you could state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Elizabeth Adams, ADAMS.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Adams, how old are you currently?
I'm 49.
And do you currently live in San Antonio, Texas?
I do not.
Okay, where do you live?
I live just north of Houston.
Okay, and did you formerly live in San Antonio?
I did.
Okay. Were you born in San Antonio, Texas?
Actually, no, I was born in Houston and then we moved and then I moved back in '04.
Okay. Did you attend high school in San Antonio, Texas?
I did.
What high school is that?
Theodore Roosevelt?
Thank you. And are you employed currently?
Yes, I'm self-employed. I'm a real estate agent.
Okay. Now I want to talk to you about April 23rd, 2017. Do you recall what you were doing that day?
I do.
And were you in San Antonio, Texas on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Why were you in San Antonio, Texas?
I was visiting my husband. He is a director of maintenance for an aviation company, and he would sometimes spend a week on, a week off here babysitting airplanes. And it just so happened that that was the weekend that was my last weekend to be with him. And then I was going home and he was staying, and he was staying at the DoubleTree. So we were just saying goodbye to each other, and I was going on my way.
Okay. And when you say he was staying at the DoubleTree, was that the DoubleTree located on McCullough and the access road of 410?
Yes, facing North Star Mall. Mhm.
And is that located in Bexar County, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And at some point, did you end up in the parking lot of that DoubleTree hotel?
Yes, I was just getting ready to leave. We had loaded up my car, and I was turning around to give him a hug and a kiss and, just bidding our farewells for the week. And I was just getting ready to get in my car when it all happened.
Okay. And so when you said you were getting ready to give your husband a hug, and you referred to when everything happened, what direction were you facing?
When I gave him a hug, my back was to the mall.
Okay.
And I was distracted by a noise that was behind me, and it was like screeching. It sounded, it was a car. And that's when I turned around and noticed that there was this car, a black little car, was like braking and braking and braking, was going, braking, stopping. And it just looked chaotic for a second. And so it caught my attention.
And so when you turn around, that means that you are facing towards 410, looking towards
At that
410.
point, I am facing the mall.
All right. And regarding this black four-door vehicle, you said you heard, you said it sounded chaotic. Is that how you described it?
Yes,
All right.
yes,
And so did you take a look at that motor vehicle?
I did.
And can you please explain to the three what you observed?
Again, the car was stopping and going in very short succession, just quick, and so it was like bouncing. And then, at first I didn't think anything of it. We just giggled. The Spurs game, there was a Spurs game happening. Fiesta was just winding up. So I just thought it was, somebody having a good time. We didn't think anything of it until I noticed that the car was stopped, but it was bouncing. And so I looked closer, and I told my husband, I said, I don't think they're kidding anymore. Looks like they're beating up the guy in the middle of the back seat. And so, being nosy, I just stood there watching, and I just couldn't, we really just couldn't really understand what was happening until the door swung open, and somebody was yelling, help me. And then the door would slam, and then the door would open again, and you would hear them screaming. And then I heard, don't shoot him here.
Objection, hearsay, confrontation.
All right, if you'll lay the foundation.
Well, Judge, I think it's, is it? Well, okay. And so when you heard that statement that you just said, without repeating it, what was the demeanor of the people that were inside of the car?
They were still hitting him.
Okay. And so was it like a high stress situation?
Yes,
Okay. And you described it as chaotic?
yes.
Okay. And so then what did you hear?
I heard that, and it frightened me, because when I looked closer, I noticed that the passenger in the front was wearing a white shirt, was holding a gun. And that's when we backed up a little.
Honor,
We took a
since we-
couple of steps back.
Progressed from that issue to what's been visually observed, I just renew my objection. And if they're abandoning trying to lay the foundation, I'd ask for an instruction since
All
part
right,
of the
then
answer was given.
That will be sustained. You're to disregard what was said.
Motion for mistrial.
Denied.
All right, and so you said, who were you able to get the best look at in that black motor vehicle?
The person in the front seat that was holding the gun,
Okay, and you said what color shirt was that person wearing?
he was wearing a white t-shirt.
Okay, and you had previously described this person as a Hispanic male, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
but again, the car was just moving, it was bouncing. So everybody just looked brown to me.
okay. And so when you describe the front passenger seat, I guess as far as the person that was in the front passenger seat skin tone, would you be able to describe their skin tone and their tone of hair?
Yes, they were, it seemed to be, if I said they were Hispanic, it was like they were darker, a little bit darker, and they had dark cropped hair.
Okay. And regarding that front passenger, were you able to tell anything about their size?
Yes. The way that they were sitting, it's like their head was not, it didn't go too far past the headrest
Okay.
and seemed to be very, very skinny, just very thin.
Oh.
Very, like a smaller stature. So,
All right. And you said that front passenger that was wearing the white shirt did have a handgun in his hand, is that correct?
he did.
And did you see him do anything with the handgun?
Yes, it was the way he was pointing it, and he just looked nervous, but just kept going back and forth,
Okay.
holding it.
And so I guess you were using your right hand, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did that passenger have the firearm in their right hand?
Yes.
Okay. The person that was in the back, well, I guess, did you observe that front passenger doing anything in the back seat?
No, he stayed in the front seat the entire time.
Did you observe him turn around?
Yes,
or-
he was like turning around. It's almost like he was
Your Honor.
turning around to find the best
Excuse me.
position.
So, whenever an attorney makes an objection, I just need you to stop speaking because I need to rule on their objection that they made, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
No problem. All right, ask your next question.
May I have a ruling, Your Honor?
The objection is overruled.
All right. So you stated the front passenger, he stayed in the front passenger seat. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Physically, is that what you mean?
Okay. So when I say that he's staying in the front seat, it means that he didn't jump to the back. That's what I mean by that. But there was a lot of movement in the front seat when he was holding the gun. So
Okay.
it was like he was just trying to find a better way to do whatever it is that he intended in doing.
All right. Did you see the front passenger interact with that person that was being beat up in the back seat?
Yes, because he turned around to look at him.
Okay. Did he ever point the firearm at him?
I don't
Objection
recall
leading,
that
Your
part.
Overruled.
Honor. And withdraw.
You don't recall?
Pointing at him, no.
Okay.
He
What
just
hap-
had it up the entire time.
Okay. What happened with the person that was in the back seat that was being beat up on?
Okay, so as I said, the car door kept opening and closing, opening, closing. At one point, he jumped out of the car, and then I want to say he jumped back in, and then he jumped out of the car again and jumped on the hood of the car and was holding on. And is at that point that the car took off.
Okay, did you see what direction the car took off in?
Well, they remained on the access road and you could hear them squeal off and it's like they went right into the next parking lot. Cause I could hear it. It's right here next. It was like next to us.
All right, and then after you hear it screech off, did you hear anything else?
Yes, I heard 3 gunshots.
And then what did you do at that time?
I was calling 911.
All right. Your Honor, permission to publish Exhibit 8, which was entered yesterday.
Yes, granted.
Police, and probably EMS, I don't know.
Was it 4 months?
Somebody just got, I think somebody just got shot. They're right here in the Best Buy parking lot on 410
We're at a 410.
and San Pedro, like McCullough, like right after the McCullough exit. We could see them fighting in the car. He kept telling somebody, help me, help me. And they had a gun on him and they were trying to get him out of the car. I don't know what was going on because I'm sitting in my car, kicking leave. But I think they shot him or they fired shots or something. And they're right there in the parking lot.
Did you hear shots?
What?
Did you hear any gunshots?
Yes. The guy in the front seat. It was a Ford. It was a black Ford.
Is it still there?
I don't know. I'm in one parking lot and they went into the other. Right after the McCullough exit, where Doubletree is, it was like the parking lot next to that.
You said it was a Ford,
Yes.
blue.
I'm sorry?
What color was it? Blue,
No, it was black.
black?
Yeah. There's 2 male passengers in the front, and there were like 2 or 3 female passengers in the back seat. It was a car full of guys.
Okay, and it said 410 and where?
410 and right after the McCullough exit. It was directly across from North Star, right after the Doubletree Hotel by Hilton.
Okay, I'm trying to find it from where you're at. So was there 410 in McCullough?
Yes. In the Cons parking lot, right there,
What was the name of the store that happened in front of?
What was the name of the what?
What was the name of the store that happened in front of?
Right here in front of Doubletree by Hilton.
Okay.
Right here at the intersection of McCullough and right here on the highway.
Did you hear this person yelling for help?
Okay?
Did you hear the person yelling for help?
Yeah, I heard him yelling for help. It was very funny. I thought that they were kidding. And he was like, they were like, no, get the fuck out of the car, get the fuck out of the car. And he's like, no, 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 no. And then all of a sudden he's like, somebody help me, somebody help me. And then he's like, don't shoot him here. They said, don't shoot him in here. And then when I looked, I saw, because at first I thought they were joking, but then I looked and sure enough, the guy in the front seat had a gun and he was pointing it at the guy and he's like, no, no, no. And then he jumped on the hood and he rode on the hood of the car all the way on the access road. And then they pulled into the Best Buy or Cons parking lot, whatever, the next parking lot over. And then I heard the gunshot.
Yeah. Okay, I have it.
Okay.
It's just because it's been called in. You're
Okay.
calling it in now. Do you have any other information on it?
No, that's it. Just know that it was a little black four-door car and a bunch of car full of boys in there. And I don't know what the story
Do you
was,
want to leave your name?
but sure. Elizabeth Adams.
And your phone number is at 83.
Presentation of the 911 call that you made on that day?
Mhm.
Sorry,
Yes.
yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. And regarding the passenger that exited the back seat of that black vehicle and got on top of the hood of the car, did you, based on the observations that you made, did you perceive that he wanted to get out of the car, or what did you perceive was going on?
I got the impression that he just did not want to give his car up.
Okay.
Kind of seemed like, but he wanted to get out, but he wanted his
Your
car.
Honor, to speculation.
Sustained.
Ask the jury to disregard that answer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're to disregard the last answer.
Motion for mistrial.
Denied.
We passed the witness, Your Honor.
All right, defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Just a few questions for you. You didn't actually see someone firing a gun, correct?
Nope.
Okay. And you said you were at the Doubletree
Yes.
and you were standing out in front of the building, or are you in your vehicle?
On the side, there's a parking lot and my car was parked there and I
Okay.
was going to get in, but hadn't done that yet.
Okay, were you right beside your car or?
Yes.
All right. If you could give us a sense, how many feet from where you were standing to where you saw the vehicle?
Let's see. It's like from here, let's just say from here to way before that wall. So it was close, it was a lot closer, maybe behind you guys, that the divider.
The bar that divides the gallery from the well, that would be
Maybe.
kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
You indicated that on the call, we heard you say that all the people in the vehicle were Hispanic. Right? You heard that on the recording?
Yes,
So
that's,
when you were being questioned by the prosecutor about it, you also mentioned that you had indicated that you believe they were all Hispanic. You also said something like the car was moving and all I saw was that the car looked brown to me. Do you recall testifying to that a moment ago?
no, the car is black. I
I
said,
think what you probably meant was that the people in the car all look brown to you. Is that what you meant?
yes,
Okay. You seem to have some hesitancy when she asked the question. Have you met with the prosecutors in anticipation of your testimony in this case?
yes.
About how long ago?
I mean, just before trial.
Did they ask you if there were any African Americans in the car?
Yes, but I think that was like a while back, like, when all of this started to finally come to trial.
Okay, thank you. You indicated that the Hispanic person that you saw in the front seat of the car had cropped hair, short hair, right?
Mhm.
Okay. You indicated that that person did have a pistol, that you saw that the pistol's barrel was pointed at the ceiling of the vehicle at all times that you saw it, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Fair enough. You heard some things that people were saying, but you didn't hear everything that was being said inside of the car, right?
correct.
Windows of the car were all rolled up as far as you could tell.
Yes,
All right. And at one point you indicated that you weren't sure if they were kidding or if this was a fight until you watched it a little longer.
right.
Now, may I approach the reporter for a moment?
Yes.
Oh, it's right here.
One moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, permission to publish States 3. I don't know if we can.
And no objection. I'm sorry.
Sorry,
It's
you're-
admitted.
Thank
It's
you, Your
already
Honor.
in evidence. And so just so the attorneys are aware, if something is already into evidence, there's no need to request the court whether or not you can publish it.
Yes, Your Honor, I apologize. Old habits die hard.
No,
So,
no problem.
ma'am, I'm going to show you what's been admitted into evidence as States Exhibit 3. If I were to tell you that this building right here where my finger is pointed is the Chick-fil-A over in this general vicinity, can you give us a sense of where on the map the DoubleTree is?
I'm assuming this is the DoubleTree. Is that,
Let me approach you so I can see what you're pointing to, and then I can confirm with you.
if I'm, let me see. Well, wait, I guess this is the DoubleTree because that looks like the hotel.
Okay, okay, so
Mhm.
I'm correct. You're saying you think that this is the DoubleTree?
Mhm.
This may be a different hotel. It was renamed. Okay, so this is the hotel you believe that you were out in front of?
Mhm.
Okay, so you're talking about the altercation having taken place somewhere in where these cars are here?
Mhm.
Okay, but did you actually see the car go into the Chick-fil-A parking lot?
No, because I want to say there was like a car or something here. I don't know. Something was here
Okay,
because I didn't, and we were scared. I stepped back and I just was focusing on grabbing my phone at that point when he took off on the hood, I believe is right when I was like, this is crazy. I've got to call this in. This is nuts.
okay, but you called in after you heard the gunshots.
Yes, I guess.
Okay, because you talk about gunfire in your 911 call, right?
Mhm. Well, you gotta wait. They don't answer right away. I was waiting for a second and, everything's transpiring as it's going.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just trying to get a sense of the timing. I'm just understand. Could you give us a sense where your car was parked, if you could guess? I mean, I don't want you to guess, but approximately where in this parking lot would your car have been parked in relationship to the roadway?
I wanna say that, I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. So it was probably like around like right here because I was very much in line with about the third car like this. This is,
Okay.
yeah. And so
Okay.
And
I was
excuse
about right
me,
here.
if you need to step into the well, if it's easier for her to point off on the equipment there.
I was just
You
going
can
to
have
point
her,
forward
no,
and
I
see
mean,
if
you can
she
have her
agreed.
step down. You can step down and use that screen because I don't believe the equipment is working on that screen for you to point and mark. So if you all would like, and if it would be easier for the jurors to see, if you want to step down and use that, you
Come on
can.
down. You could just please point to where you were pointing on your monitor.
So I was.
Oh, and I'm sorry, make sure you keep your voice up because the jurors still need to hear.
Okay. I was in one of these parking spaces here,
Okay.
right here, because I was like almost in line with this third, like the third car back. I remember that very vividly.
Okay. So to be clear, your car was not parked in those parking spaces that are directly facing the oncoming traffic. It would have been the next
Right
row
here.
of cars or maybe the row after that.
This one.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Go up back.
Yes.
Are you done with the camera?
Yes, I'm done with the camera. Thank you. And you testified that you saw a bunch of guys in the car.
Yes.
You didn't see any women in the car.
No.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
No further questions and
Alright.
excused by state.
Excused by defense.
All right, the rule has been invoked. That means that you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone while this trial is proceeding. All right, and just make sure you remove the microphone. I just leave it here. Yes, okay, thank you. And excuse me, this is an exhibit, if you'll give that to Cindy. And state, call your next witness.
The state calls Officer Sandra Lopez.
Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that the jurors can hear. And if you could state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Ma'am, it's Sandra Lopez, Lopez.
State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Officer Lopez, actually, back in 2017, what was your full name at that time?
Yes, it was Sandra Chapa.
So subsequently, then you've been married and changed your last name. Is that correct?
Correct.
And is it Officer Lopez?
Detective.
Detective
Yes,
Lopez.
sir.
Thank you. And can you go ahead and just briefly, one, who do you work for currently?
The San Antonio Police Department.
And how long have you worked for the San Antonio Police Department?
Going on 9 years.
And can you please just briefly tell the jury training that you had to go through to become a San Antonio police officer?
Yeah, so to the academy, we did academic training, physical fitness training, firearms training, driving courses to obtain our police officer's license.
And then I guess that's just to become a police officer, but then as you are hired for San Antonio Police Department to be an officer, then you were promoted to detective. Is that correct?
Yes, after 5 years on patrol.
And you have to go through certain certifications and classifications to become a detective?
Yes, there's a test that we have to take
And how long have you been a detective?
for 2 years.
Okay, thank you. Officer or Detective Lopez, I'd like to take you back to April 23rd, 2017. At roughly about 5:19 in the afternoon, were you dispatched to a scene?
Yes, I was.
And do you remember what you were dispatched for?
It was a shooting in progress.
And do you remember if you were dispatched, what the location, what was the location?
Yes, it was Northeast Loop 410 and McCullough Avenue.
And was it in particular to a certain location, as in a restaurant or a bar,
It was just the intersection.
Intersection?
Yes,
And did you make the scene that day?
yes, I did.
And when you made the scene, what did you observe?
So at that time, when I got to the scene, we were told that it was actually in a Chick-fil-A parking lot. So when I pulled up, I observed a male on the ground, and there were several citizens standing around him.
And the male that was on the ground, did you notice anything about the male on the ground?
He appeared unresponsive.
And did you notice anything else? Was he, you said, non-responsive? And what do you mean by that? Can you explain to the jury, please?
Yes, he was not moving. He was not having any sort of movements or breathing, it appeared.
So during your time at the scene, at least initially, and throughout the scene that you were there, did this person that was on the ground, did he ever get up?
No,
Did he ever talk to anyone?
No.
That you're aware of?
no,
And subsequently, did you stay at the scene until he was removed from the scene?
no, I did not.
And let me ask you, why did you exit the scene before it was, I guess, closed or finished?
Yes, I had transported a witness to public safety headquarters for a statement.
Okay, thank you. Now, while you're at the scene, can you please explain to the jury, as an officer or patrol officer, what are your duties at any scene at that point?
Yeah, so my duties are to secure the scene, try and get as much suspect information from witnesses as possible, so that way I can broadcast that information to the officers that are on their way to the scene, and just to separate witnesses, and just secure the scene.
Now, and on this particular day, as you stated earlier, there were several individuals around this person that was non-responsive on the ground.
Yes,
And did you, well, if you can remember, you said numerous, so I guess can you say an exact number or not?
no,
Okay. But you had a body cam on that day, is that correct?
yes, I did.
Okay, and would your body cam show those individuals when you arrived at the scene?
Yes, it would.
And during this time of the scene, did you speak with individuals at the scene?
Yes, I did.
And can you please tell the jury, do you know the names of those individuals?
I do. If I can refresh my memory, my report.
And let me just go ahead and just mark that for, what is? I'm gonna mark this state exhibit number 11, and you brought this in with you. What is it that you have in front of you?
It is my police report.
It's your police report. Is it a copy of your police
It
report?
is a copy of my police report.
And you obtained this police report from me previous to this day?
Yes, I did.
And is it fairly and accurately represent the report that you made for this particular case?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And yes, ma'am, if you can go ahead and refresh your memory and tell the jury the individuals that you spoke with at the scene.
I spoke to a Nick Milner.
Sorry, Your Honor, if the record would reflect that the witness is reading from the report, you could ask the witness to refresh your memory, but not read directly from a report.
All right, so you're not allowed to read directly from the report. If there is something where you're refreshing your memory,
Yes, ma'am.
you can review the report and then just look away from the report and if you're able to answer the question.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
It was a Nick Milner, a Linda Bailey, and a Gabriel Baez.
Okay, thank you. Now, what are the purposes of speaking to them? Did you speak with them all together? Or how do you go about that?
Separated as much as possible.
And I mean, what would you consider this scene? Is it, I guess, can you explain that? Is it like an active scene or is it an ongoing scene? How would you describe that to the jury?
At that point, when I got there, it was definitely an active scene.
And I guess at that portion, what are y'all doing in this active time at the scene?
Just trying to get as much suspect information as possible. That way, when officers are en route to the scene, if they happen to see a suspect vehicle or suspects fleeing from that location, they could be apprehended at that time. And then just separating witnesses. That way, they're not influencing each other.
Okay, and that last thing that you said separating witnesses so they don't influence. You say, I'm sorry, I want to make sure influence each other. Is that what you said?
Right.
And can you explain to the jury what do you mean by that?
Yeah, just so that way, in case one witness didn't know a certain detail, they wouldn't get that from another witness that they didn't see.
And so when you have an active scene, you're trying to separate these individuals, and I think you stated earlier, as best as you can.
Yes.
Is that what you did at this scene?
Yes, I did.
Now, were there other officers that arrived at the scene also?
After I did, yes.
And so you were one of the first, I guess, officers to arrive.
Yes.
And when you were at the scene, and after you spoke with these individuals, did you end up collecting anything at the scene?
Yes, I did.
What did you collect at the scene?
A cell phone
Where did you get that cell phone from?
from Gabriel Baez.
And that's one of the individuals that you spoke to at the scene that you considered a witness.
Yes.
And did he hand it to you or how did he get it to you?
Yeah, it was wrapped in a white hand towel and he had handed it to me.
And obviously you can't speak of what exactly he told you, but is this a piece of evidence that you felt that was important to collect at the scene?
Yes.
And subsequently, you received this from Gabriel Baez. What did you do with that towel and that phone?
Yes, so I held onto it until one of our crime scene units, detectives or investigators came to the scene, and then I passed that on to her.
Okay, and do you remember you passed it off to a particular individual?
Yes,
And who was that particular individual you passed it off to?
CSI Kimberly Wong.
And then you stated that you ended up, did you do anything else at the scene at that point?
Besides interviewing the witnesses, collecting the cell phone, no, not that I can remember.
And then you stated that you actually, earlier testimony, you stated that you transported somebody down to headquarters.
Yes,
Do you recall that person's name or no?
Linda Bailey, I believe.
What's that?
Linda Bailey.
Okay. And after that, did you have any participation in the investigation of this case or any other things that you participated in?
No, I did not.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked state exhibit number 10. It's in an envelope, but if we take that all out of the envelope, do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
My body worn camera footage.
And how do you recognize it that that is your body worn cam footage?
It has my initials on there.
So did you have an opportunity to review the video that is on this CD?
Yes, I did.
And is it the video from April 23rd, 2017, roughly at 5:17 in the afternoon at the Chick-fil-A parking lot?
Yes, it is.
And it fairly and accurately represents that?
Yes, it does.
And has there been any altercations to it?
No.
Well, one thing that has been altered is body cams have audio.
Yes, they do.
But due to some restrictions, we muted this for this body cam. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so this is a muted version of your body cam.
Yes, it is.
So it just has video.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, at this time, the state offers state exhibit number 10 to enter into evidence. We'll tender to defense for any objections.
No objections.
All right, State's Exhibit number 10 is admitted.
Judge, may we publish this to the jury?
Yes.
And Judge, just to allow for expediency, we've made a copy of the exact same video from this CD and put it on our hard drive of our computer. We're asking the court to allow us to go ahead and play it from the hard drive just to expedite the process here. Well, the defense doesn't object.
No, as long as it's the same as the CD, I have no objection.
All right, yes, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this to 0253 on the VLC. And I'm going to go ahead and pause it at that point at 3007. Now, is this when you first arrived at the scene?
Yes.
And this is the numerous people you mentioned, is that correct?
Yes.
And I see well, can you count how many people are there?
Like 9?
And so it's many different people there, is that correct?
Yes.
And I'm going to pause it right there at 3.28. Now, at that point, it looks like you're speaking to numerous people there, and they're sort of circled around the person that's on the ground that we just saw on your body cam. What are you? Do you remember what you were asking?
Suspect information. They had a description of suspects, vehicle information, those sort of questions.
And now this is the initial contact with them. You stated earlier that you try to separate witnesses.
Yes.
And so why at this point are you just talking to them all together?
Yes. At this point, I'm the only officer on scene, so I'm kind of keeping everybody at eye level, or I can see everybody, and just trying to see if I can get any good suspects descriptions information.
Now, right there, nice, there we go. Oh, there we go. Your arm moved, just for the record, that I was laughing at the fact that there's an arm in the way of the body cam. I've paused it at 4.17 on the VLC. This individual that the camera is paused on, do you recognize that individual?
Yes, I do.
And what is that individual's name?
Gabriel Baez,
And one, how do you recognize that individual?
because he's holding the cell phone wrapped in the white towel.
And so in his left hand, for the record, in his left hand on the paused video, he has a towel, and you're saying that it's wrapped around a cell phone. Is that correct?
Yes,
And what you testified earlier to, you of collecting a cell phone and a white towel from Gabriel Baez, is this the Gabriel Baez and the cell phone and the towel that you collected?
yes.
Thank you. And it seems at this point, there's several people around the individual that's non-responsive on the ground, walking relatively close to him. And it looked like somebody was knelt down next to the non-responsive individual. At this particular point, since you're the only officer, are you worried about, say, evidence being moved, or are you concerned with that?
All right, I think this is a sort of compound question. I don't know exactly what the question
I
is.
can rephrase, Your Honor.
All right, so is your objection compound question?
Yes.
All right, that objection will be sustained.
Are you worried about any evidence being moved around at the scene?
Objection leading.
That'll be overruled.
Can you repeat the question?
Are you worried about any evidence being moved at this point?
No.
What is your first concern at this point?
The citizen that was kneeling down was applying pressure to the gunshot wound of the victim. So I wanted him to keep applying that pressure.
Now, this portion of the video, I'll pause it at 0546. It seems that at that point, individuals have moved away from the person that is on the ground.
Yes.
Why is that?
At this point, other officers have arrived on scene, and we want to make sure and separate all witnesses.
Now, at this point, well, let me just ask, on the video, what were you doing there?
I was getting crime scene tape from the back of my patrol vehicle to mark off the scene.
So at this particular point, no crime scene tape has been roped off around the actual scene.
No, not yet.
And that's what you're currently doing on the video?
Yes.
And for purposes of time, I will fast forward, Your Honor. I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there at 10:56. And you're speaking to an individual there. Do you recall who that individual is?
Nick Milner?
And that's one of the individuals that you listed earlier that you spoke with.
Correct.
And it seems, was this individual earlier on your body cam, was that individual near the body?
Yes.
this point, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward, Your Honor. 1315. And also fast forward to 1536. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it at 1555. It seems that this is, what are we viewing here right now?
Or getting a witness statement from Nick Milner.
And other officers are at the scene?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go ahead and fast forward to 1658. And 1747. And it seems that it's paused at 1809. This is the same individual, Gabriel Baez, holding that towel and phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
Go ahead and fast forward to 22:44:20 on the actual body cam. Can you tell the jury what we're witnessing here?
Yes, so Gabriel Baez had walked me to the area where he had collected the cell phone.
And what we viewed just right now,
Yes, he handed me the phone.
and is that when you took possession of the cell phone?
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and pause it there. And Detective Lopez, is this area of this parking lot, is this within the confines of Bexar County, Texas?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. We'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Defense?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Detective. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. You had talked about the importance of separating witnesses to make sure that they're not contaminating each other's eyewitness memory of the event, right?
Yes.
When you arrived, obviously, everyone was gathered around Mr. Saldivar.
Yes.
And while you did separate people as other officers arrived to help you, we see on your body-worn camera several groups of people sort of waiting to be spoken to, right?
Yes.
I think at one point we saw Ashley, forgive me on her last name. One moment, please.
Wendell.
Yes. Wendell.
Wendell.
Do you recall her being at the scene?
I do.
Okay. The girl with the black and white striped shirt, do you recall her?
I can't recall now.
Okay, if we could go back a little bit.
Go to three on the wheels. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
back a
just-
little. Yeah. The young lady in the shorts and the black and white striped shirt on the left there. You see her on your
Yeah.
video?
Yes, I do.
Did you interview her?
No, I did not.
Another officer would have interviewed her, correct?
Yes.
And she was sort of with her family the whole time that you were interviewing those gentlemen. Mr. Harahan showed you on camera, right?
I don't know where she was when I was interviewing other people.
You were focused on those people.
Correct.
It's fair to say there were still people talking to each other while this was going on, right?
Yes.
You indicated that when you received the cell phone and the white towel, you passed that off to Kimberly Wong, right?
Yes.
And I apologize if this asks you to repeat something. Ms. Wong's function within the department is what exactly?
A crime scene investigator.
Okay, and you just better quantify and explain that role for us.
Yeah, so crime scene investigators get dispatched to crime scenes to process the scene, collect evidence, those sort of duties.
Okay, so they're responsible for, bagging the evidence, as they say, putting it in some kind of a container where it can't be contaminated or touched,
Yes,
and then documenting that, right?
correct.
So that there's a chain of custody throughout the process, and we know that that actually is something that was authentically collected from the scene of the crime.
Yes,
Would they be doing fingerprints?
yes,
Would they be photographing things of significance?
yes.
And do they make the decision about whether to do that, or do the detective?
They should know what to take photos of at the scene, but usually a detective will let CSI know or ask if they've taken photos of something. But something of importance would be photographed.
So sometimes it's very much directed by a detective, and sometimes they're sort of left to use their own judgment. Fair to say?
Yeah, depending on what kind of crime scene it is.
Okay, but I mean, among homicide cases, you might see a little bit of both.
Detectives would have a say of what they want.
In a homicide case specifically, the detective has to tell the tech what to bag, what to photograph, what to document.
I believe they let them know what evidence is found or during a search, and then what should be collected and photographed.
Okay, and they're not ever tasked with going around and looking for the evidence themselves.
Usually, no.
Okay, you say usually. In this case, did that happen at all, to your knowledge?
I wasn't the detective on the case, so I don't know.
Okay. You were not involved in the collection of shell casings or in looking for shell casings, right?
No.
Okay. So you took those statements, you took the phone, you went over with the gentleman to see where he had found the phone, and then you drove was it Bailey to the station for a statement?
A witness to the headquarters. Yes.
Okay, understood. And you didn't return later?
Correct. I did not.
Okay. What time were you dispatched?
If I could look. About 17:19.
17:19. All right. And so on the clock up there, it says T22:24:09Z. I'm guessing that that's not correct based on your notes from dispatch time, correct?
Correct.
Because this is showing when you first arrived.
Correct.
What do you think was the response time from the time it was originally put into dispatch for an officer to arrive to when you make the scene?
That I would not know.
Okay. How would we know if we wanted to know that information?
I guess we could speak with somebody in dispatch.
Okay. And to be clear, the location that the gentleman leads you to where the phone was found is not something that you could see from the 410 access road, right?
Correct.
It would be out of the Chick-fil-A would block your line of sight of that spot.
Correct.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Go ahead and just show you state exhibit number 3. And where did, on this map, where did the Mr. Valdez say that he found that phone?
It's gonna be back towards the rear
Right here?
left of,
Okay. So you're pointing to right at this location here?
yes.
Okay. Is this the location you pointed out to me just previously?
Yes,
And this is the Chick-fil-A parking, actual Chick-fil-A?
yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
And if you could leave that up just real quick.
State exhibit number 3 is on the overhead.
Thank you. Where Mr. Garahan was just pointing his finger, we see on that camera, you're walking by what looks like a fence or a dumpster or something like that. Do
Yes,
you recall that?
yes, I do.
Okay, so that's really hard to see on the map, but there's a large object between the road and where you're standing because of that dumpster or that fence or whatever it is.
Yes.
Okay. So to save us a little bit of time, obviously it's a lengthy video. Can you give us a sense of how large of a crime scene you cordoned off?
It was from the point that I was porting off the crime scene, I was just aware that it was where the victim was found. But I think later on in the day in the investigation, they widened it.
Okay. Do you know how long it took them to realize they needed to widen it?
No, I do not.
Would you have departed the scene by the time that happened?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Your Honor, would you be able on the map to kind of use your finger and draw for the jury where you first drew the crime scene lines?
All right, you can step down and use
Oh,
the,
down there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, only this Elmo will do it for us.
And what was the question?
If you could just with your finger kind of give us a sense of where you originally cordoned off the crime scene.
Started off over here on this side. And
and
then.
I'm sorry, excuse me, Detective,
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
could keep your voice up so that the court reporter can hear.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I know I started off on right off of the access road where the parking lot was. I started off here, and I can't recall how far, if I went up this way or, because I know there was other officers that were also using crime scene tape to cordon off the crime scene. But I remember starting off here, and I don't remember if I went up this way, how far off I needed to cordon off that crime scene.
Okay, when you learned about the cell phone being over by that fence, that brown fence, did that prompt you to expand the crime scene?
No, it did not.
Okay, it was originally outside of the crime scene that you'd drawn out.
Yes,
Okay, thank you so much.
yes.
So during the time that you were there, all the other officers that we see arriving as you're beginning the process, they're talking to witnesses, right?
Yes.
Nobody is at that point actively walking around trying to see if they see things on the ground, look for shell casings, things like that.
I didn't see anybody at that time, no.
Did, based upon information that others may have received, you may have received and acted upon, did you send anybody or direct anybody to go look at the access road itself?
I did not.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
No questions, Your Honor. Excused by the state.
Subject to recall, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone or view anything about this case until the proceedings have concluded. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Just make sure that you're available if the defense wishes to recall you.
Yes, ma'am.
You may step down, but leave your microphone. Does anyone need a break before we proceed with the next witness? All right, we're going to take a brief recess. I'm going to ask that everyone be back by 3:05. Remember my previous instructions. You're not allowed to view anything in regards to this case. You're not allowed to do any research or investigation on your own. You're not allowed to start talking about this case internally with yourself or with each other. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors. All right, the court is going to call 2023 CR 2280. State versus Michael Donovan Williams. Could I have parties announced for the record? State,
Andrew Harris, Edelman.
defense.
Robert Ferris.
And are you Mr. Williams? All right, did you review the document entitled Motion to Revoke Community Supervision and First Amendment Motion to Revoke Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it? Are you the same Michael Donovan Williams who's placed on community supervision in 2023 CR 2280 for the offense of unlawfully carrying a weapon with a felony conviction on June 15, 2023 for a period of 8 years? Is that you? All right, state.
In Bexar County, Texas, the defendant Michael Donovan Williams had been in there, failed to report to the supervision officer as directed for the months of May and June 2024 in violation of condition number 4.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
State waives the remaining violation allegations.
Any objections?
No objection.
Did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 4, the court could find it true, grant the motion, and sentence you up to 3 years in prison and up to, let me see if there's a fine. No fine. Could sentence you up to 3 years in the prison. Did you understand? Knowing that, do you still wish to proceed with your plea of true to violation of condition number 4? Court will find violation of condition number 4 true. Is there a proposed agreement?
I believe so, Your Honor, to revoke supervision and impose the underlying sentence.
All right. And has he done anything on probation?
Judge, Mr. Williams was a third court participant.
Mhm.
He did complete lifetime, well, lifetime that had some issues that judge, though he was being discharged.
All right.
And he absconded from prosecution.
All right. Do you want to raise your right hand for me, please? You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Oh, that's right. That arrangement.
All right, so Mr. Williams, why didn't you do well on this probation? All right, so what I can tell you is, and I believe the state and the defense are aware of this, because my understanding, you all were negotiating, and maybe it was going to be withdraw the motion and refer to DDRF, or either refer back to felony drug court. All right, so let me explain something to you. If you have mental health issues, and it appears that you do, because there was, I don't know if it was who it was brought up by, but there was the issue of perhaps placing you in DDRF, then those issues are still going to exist. And prison, sometimes it rehabilitates people, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they'll give you the care that you need. If you're able to fake your way through the prison system and they don't think you need mental health treatment, then you're not going to get any mental health treatment at the prison. And when you are released, maybe you'll be worse off than you were before. Maybe you will be better off than you were before. But it appears to the court, and I guess it appears to your defense counsel too, that you need drug treatment and mental health treatment. If you do not want to abide by that, I will follow your agreement, revoke you, and I will sentence you to the 3 years. But if you want the help, then I will give you the help. But it's going to be some type of inpatient treatment. And if you were referred back to felony drug court, if felony drug court agrees to accept you and reviews your case again, they may decide that the best placement for you is DDRF and may place you in DDRF. But if you want to be revoked, I will revoke you. But I don't think that would be in your best interest, and I don't think it would be in the public's best interest. So your choices are, I can follow your agreement, revoke you, sentence you to the 3 years, or I can continue you, but you're going to remain in custody until you're accepted in felony drug court or DDRF. So.
Just if I can give you some context,
Mhm.
what we discussed is, I asked him why was he having a trouble with the drug court program, and he said, you know, due to his dual diagnosis issues, he said he has a hard time getting and keeping a job, he has a hard time, he's homeless, he
Mhm.
has a hard time reporting every week and paying for drug tests every week.
Mhm.
Doesn't have any family support here in town. He doesn't have anybody here in town for, as he called it, the foundation. He said, you know, drug court, we need a foundation, and I don't have it.
Mhm.
And then DDRF, the wait was apparently 4 to 5 months.
Oh, yes, the
And the wait
DDR
for
goes on.
He was 4 to 6 weeks, and he's got 319 days, and so he told me that he'd rather just take his credit for time and see what happens. He knows he's still gonna have these issues, but.
All right, and this is what I want to let you know. One, you can't run from your problems. If you are currently homeless, at least there's a safety net. And I understand that drug court charges for drug testing, but if you don't have money for drug testing, they're not going to say, we're going to remove you from the program because you can't afford the drug testing. They're not going to say, we're going to remove you from the program because you don't have housing. Part of their job is to make sure that you're stable with a place to stay. And sometimes the place you have to stay, it's not the Hilton or whatever the best place is. It's just a place to stay with rules and regulations. Now, if I follow your agreement and send you to prison when you get out, you're still going to be homeless. But, okay, sure. Counsel. Counsel. He needs to sign it. Are you asking the court to follow this agreement for 3 years in the prison? Are you waiving your right to appeal? All right. If you'll have him sign that.
Judge, there are 2 other state health felonies that the state will take into consideration.
And what will that be?
A possession of
Oh,
marijuana.
Do you have cause numbers?
Not yet.
Okay. So if you'll just put on the record then what offenses will be taken in consideration.
Possession of marijuana 4 ounces, 5 pounds, and a PG 1 less than a gram. Arising out of the same criminal episode, separate offenses.
All right. Then court will follow your agreement. The court is going to find violation of condition number 4 true. Court will sentence you to 3 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. The court will note that the state is taking into consideration a possession of marijuana and a possession of controlled substance, penalty group 1, less than 1 gram. And the court will request the therapeutic community. Did you review the trial court certification of defendant's rights to appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what that is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. Good luck to you. When you're released, if you can't find a place to stay, or if you can't find somebody to help you maintain your sobriety, if I'm still here, you come back, I'll pick up the phone and call somebody. All right, thank you.
Judge Afro.
Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, are the parties ready to, oh, they're getting your client.
Judge, just to save time, I have some physical evidence here and I wanted to see if I confirm with Mr. Wilson, we should remove the custody of the court order.
Okay, all right, that's between you and the court reporter. Yes,
Thank you, Judge.
you're welcome. Thank you.
We
Oh,
have no
and-
objection.
Sure. All right, Mr. Barron's, the state said they'll have those dismissals at some point in time. I don't know. If the dismissals, I guess they're out of this court because they're both felonies. So I'll sign that. I don't know if you need copies of it or anything.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Have a good one. Yes.
You know, when my son, when I find some back, I just want to advise him. Give me a chance.
Sure, no problem. And was his sister able to come in and see him yet?
She went back to her hotel, but we've let her know if that's an option for her and,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
she'll be around for a while, so.
Okay, all right,
And I can let him know at any time.
all right.
You're gonna keep this one, right? Sometimes y'all give it to me and something.
And defense, just so you know, in case my ruling wasn't understood, she can come in at any time, just as long as there's no testimony.
Yes, yes, John.
Okay.
That's the aim. We appreciate that accommodation.
Sure.
It's always tough with family, you know.
Yeah, I've been there. Oh, hi, how's it going? I'm doing okay, but Val Kilmer passed. You know, he should have won. I don't know if he won an Oscar for Doc Holliday. That was, I will tell you, that is one of the best Doc Holliday performances I've ever seen. Not that I knew Doc Holliday, but that Doc Holliday was one of the best performances. I think they said pneumonia. But other than his performance, the other performance that I rate in the top two is the performance by the Doc Holliday in the original Star Trek.
That was good.
Hmm. Just give us a moment. Counsel, you wanted to say something? Are you sure?
I was just saying that I'm not here. If you want to complain about people falling asleep, better not look at me.
No, you are not.
No, so you can.
All right, are all parties ready to proceed?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's bring the jurors in.
All right, for the jury.
Please be seated. State, call your next witness.
The state calls Anna Delgado.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the last name?
Anna Delgado.
All right, thank you.
And then also speaking to that mic.
All right, if you can raise your right hand, do you solemnly, oh, right, that's okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear. If you'll state your name and spell your last name, please.
Ana Delgado, Delgado.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Hi, how you doing, Ms. Delgado?
Hi, doing good.
I think we spoke previously, but one, let me just ask, do you currently live in San Antonio, Texas?
Yes, I do.
And how long have you lived in San Antonio, Texas?
Like over 23 years.
23 years? Okay. Well, let me take you back to about 7 or 8 years ago. Where were you working at that time?
Papados.
And what were you doing at Papados?
I was working, I was a prep chef.
So what was your attire back then? What would you wear to work?
Chef coat, chef pants, non-slip shoes.
And would that be something similar to like a chef looking outfit?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
And let me ask you, on April 23rd, 2017, were you at work at Papados restaurant that day?
Yes, I was.
And at roughly 5 o'clock or so in the afternoon, were you currently still at work, or what were you doing?
I was already off of work, so my husband was picking me up from work.
And this Papados restaurant, where is it located here in San Antonio?
Off of 410.
And is there any intersections close to that?
It's McCullough and Jones Maltsberger.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
It's in between.
so when your husband, you said your husband was coming to pick you up,
Hmm.
and what kind of car did you drive, or did he drive at that time?
We had a blue Toyota Camry.
And did he pick you up that day in that vehicle?
Correct. Yes.
And where did when y'all left Papados, which way on the highway did y'all go?
We hit the access road towards Jones Maltsberger, took the turnaround on the access road to McCullough.
And you remained on the access road at this time?
Correct.
And when you were coming up to the intersection, you mentioned Nicola,
Mhm.
What did you do there?
We were at a stop because the light was red.
And do you recall what lane you were in?
In the far right.
So far right lane?
Left, sorry. Left. Oh, wait. Yes, far right.
Far,
Towards the, what is it? Wait. Left side, sorry.
okay.
Right?
What?
Yeah, something like that.
Well,
It was
let's
far,
go-
it was towards the hotel that I think it
Okay.
was a double tree.
Let me do this. I'm
I
gonna approach. I'll show you.
haven't been over there in a long time.
That's all right. Well, one, I just to let the jury and the court be aware,
Mhm.
you're your voice is a little, or you're sort of like the words are a little slurred at times. What type of procedure
I had
did you have?
dental work. I had 4 extractions and a bone graft. So I'm barely a week into post-op. So, yeah.
Okay, so that's why your mouth, it may be little slurred words or something like that.
Correct.
Okay, and
Yes.
that's about a week ago.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, thank you. I'm gonna show you what's been marked state exhibit number 3. And if you don't mind, can you point out on there where you were located when you came to the stoplight at that
I was
intersection?
roughly on this side right here.
On this side over
Mhm.
here? So you're pointing at that portion closest to the hotel side?
Correct.
And
Mhm.
so if we're looking at that, what side of the street would that be on?
It's gonna be on right.
The right side?
Mhm.
Okay, so just to confirm, you're right about here.
Mhm.
And that's where you stopped, and that's on the far right side, closest to the hotel.
Closest to the
Okay,
hotel, correct.
all right. And when you stopped at this stoplight, were there any vehicles in front of yours?
Yes, there was.
Well, one, do you recall how many were in front of you?
Well, the one vehicle in front of me, just the black, four-door vehicle
Okay.
that was in front of us. Mhm.
So that's sort of why you're here today. And you discussed this case with myself and other prosecutors at times, is that correct?
Correct. Mhm.
Have you ever discussed it with defense counsels that you're aware of?
No.
Okay, or any of their investigators?
No.
Okay. Now, when you stop at this light, you mentioned the black four-door car in front of you.
Mhm.
Do you recall how far you were from this car when you came up to the
Probably a
stop
few
light?
feet away from it. Mhm.
Okay, so would that be sort of like the normal distance when you're
Normal
stopping?
distance as you're coming to a stop right behind a vehicle. Mhm.
And did anything bring your attention to that vehicle in front of you?
Yes,
Can you please describe to the jury?
the vehicle started like moving side to side as if they were playing inside the vehicle. So that's what caught my attention because it was just swaying. There was movement in the car. That's why I was like more attentive to that. I did see the back passenger side open, the door open. It then they closed it. They opened it again. And they pushed, which is the victim, out of the vehicle. Then they closed the door. So the victim was outside of the vehicle trying to open the door. He started yelling for help. He went around to the other side of the vehicle to try to open the door. Nobody, they were all locked. So then the light turned green. The gentleman went to the front of the vehicle and jumped on the hood. Then he held on. The light turned green. Of course, the vehicle started moving. That vehicle started going and it kind of sped up. It started maneuvering side to side to get the gentleman off. Of course, it didn't. He held on. I thought they were going to get on 410. But then they turned into Chick-fil-A. So
Okay. And let me ask you this. When you saw this individual that was, I think you said pushed out, or I'm sorry, that's not good, pushed out or thrown out of the car.
thrown out, pushed out, yeah.
Do you remember if that was a male or female?
It was a male.
And do you remember if his race or was he Hispanic? Was he black?
Hispanic,
Okay.
yeah.
And did you, when you saw this individual jump on the hood,
Mhm.
you said he held on.
Correct.
How was he holding on?
On the hood, closer to the windshield. So, yeah, basically his face was facing the windshield.
And so what was he standing up holding on, or do you recall?
No, he was laying flat on the hood.
And so this vehicle takes off and then turns into the Chick-fil-A parking lot.
Correct.
And where were you when this vehicle pulled into the Chick-fil-A parking lot?
I was passing like the park where they turn into Chick-fil-A.
Mhm.
So I was passing as the vehicle was turned into and parked and right there in the entrance of Chick-fil-A.
And so your vehicle was on the access road.
On the access road.
And what would you classify your speed as? Were you fast or slow?
I was pretty slow. Yeah.
And do you recall if you were you were with your husband? So do you recall if he was driving or you were driving?
He was driving and I was on the passenger side.
And when this happens, do you continue down the access road or what do you do?
As soon as the vehicle turned into Chick-fil-A. As I was looking, of course, the passenger, the gentleman, the person inside the vehicle opened the door on the passenger side and stepped out, of course, half of body, and just shot the gentleman. The gentleman had stood up on the vehicle already, sorry, on the hood.
Mhm.
And so he stomped his foot on the windshield, which is the victim, stomped his foot on in the windshield. He shattered it.
Mhm.
Then that's when the gentleman from inside the vehicle, he opened it, stepped out and just shot him. That's when I saw the gentleman, the victim, fall off the hood. And then after that, I don't know what happened because that's when I passed. And I turned into where that Jason's Deli entrance is at. And I parked in that parking lot
Okay.
behind
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A.
I'll show you again what's marked. State exhibit number 3. And you stated that you're on the access road. Can you show me on the map where you pulled in and said that you parked?
This one, so I parked back here.
Over here?
Yeah.
Okay, so is that where my finger is right
Mhm.
there? Okay. Publishing state exhibit number 3. And I believe you pointed to right in this area right here.
Correct.
So you came down the access road, pulled in here, and ended up parking in this area.
Correct.
Okay. Now, when you're parked in this area, did you ever see that little that black car again?
Yes, so I had parked already and behind Chick-fil-A. Then I heard it peel off, of course, because I had my windows down. And I saw it turn the corner of Chick-fil-A. And as I saw the vehicle turn that corner, I saw something just fly out of the window. I don't know what it was or what it was at that time. And then it just sped off right in the front of us, and then it just took off from there.
And again, I'm gonna go ahead and approach again because it's a little going back and forth. I'll get my
Yeah.
steps in today. But can you point out to here where you stated that you saw the vehicle going? Here we go. You can just don't mark on that, but go ahead and
Okay.
show.
So it sped off, and I saw it turn right here,
Mhm.
and then go through here,
Okay,
and then come out that way.
okay. Thank you. Again, permission to the jury that you stated that you saw the vehicle from the behind the Chick-fil-A come this way. Is that right?
Correct.
And it goes out this, does it
That
exit?
Mhm.
Okay. And you said you saw something fly out of the vehicle?
Correct.
And do you recall, where it came from in the vehicle? Do you know it came out the driver's side, passenger side, or do you recall that at all?
No, I don't.
Okay. Now, going back to when you're passing by and the vehicle, that black vehicle pulled into the Chick-fil-A parking lot, and you see who you identified as the victim
Mhm.
standing on the hood, and then the passenger opens the door and leans out and shoots the victim.
Correct.
Which door opened on that vehicle?
The passenger side,
And it was a 4-door vehicle, so would it be the front door?
the
or
front passenger side.
The front passenger.
Correct.
Now, were you able to, like at least identify whether that person was a male or a female?
No,
Were you able to identify whether that person was, African-American, Hispanic, or white, or any kind of complexion?
not the, no, not Hispanic or any, I don't know.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
And for that matter, you gave a statement back then, a written statement, right?
Correct.
And it does not depict that you identified any race or clothing.
Objection, hearsay foundation.
I'll rephrase you
All
on.
right, with regards to your objection, that'll be sustained.
Did you indicate anything in your statement about the race of the person that was of the shooter?
Objection, hearsay foundation.
No.
That,
Oh.
just, that's fine. When anyone makes an objection,
Mhm.
just don't say anything because I need to make a ruling on it, and then I'll make a ruling. And if you still don't know if you can answer it, I just ask me.
Okay.
All right. So State, if you'll ask your question.
Let me ask you, did you ever indicate whether you knew the race of the individual that stepped out of the vehicle?
No, that's the exact same question.
All right. So what's your objection?
Hearsay foundation. It's trying
Alright.
to offer it as a prior consistent to rebut claim of recent fabrication. There hasn't been a claim.
All right. So that objection will be overruled. You can answer the question.
No race, no.
And in your just previous testimony, could you determine whether the person was male or female?
Yes, there was two male in the front, and then the three persons in the back were two males and one female.
And let me ask you this, from your vantage point, how were you viewing the vehicle? It was in front of you, is that correct?
In front, correct.
And did you ever see a view of this vehicle from the side or any other view?
No, just behind.
And so even when you passed by at the Chick-fil-A, were you still viewing the vehicle from the back?
Correct, yes.
And how could you determine, say, the sex of these individuals by just viewing it from the back of the vehicle? Because let me retract that question. What could you see from the back? Like, were you looking through the back shield window?
Objection, compound question.
All right. That'll be overruled.
You can answer the question.
Okay. I was behind the vehicle, so I could just see the windshield, the persons from, shoulder length. And then the head, not the face, but the head and the hair. So I determined it as in haircuts,
Okay.
hair, the body sculpture of the shoulders.
Okay. And did you I'm sorry, I have 1 second, Your Honor. After you stopped the vehicle and then you saw the black four-door vehicle exit, what did you do after that?
I called 911.
And you made a 911 call
Correct.
that day. And are you stating right after you saw the vehicle pass by?
Correct. Mhm.
And Judge, at this time, the state would like to publish State Exhibit number 9 that has been previously admitted.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Antonio 911, this is Xavier. Do you need police, fire, or EMS? Police and EMS. What is the location? The guys are about shot right now. What's the location? Fire location? It's, on 410 and, San Pedro, right over here. 410 and San Pedro? Yeah, at the Chick-fil-A. Is it the one where the music store is at? There's a TGI Friday.
Is it Sam Ash Music Store or something around there, or what?
Oh, I don't see it. Oh, yes, it is. Yes,
At the Chick-fil-A, right?
at the Chick-fil-A, yes. It was a black, four-door family, little car. I didn't get the license plate, but they left them right here. It started. Yeah, there's people here with them, but I mean, EMS.
Okay, stay on the line, all right? I just need to get some
Okay.
information. I'm trying to find a location.
I need you to park, Audi. Those four, it was like 5 people in that car. It was, there was some girl and there were some guys in there. They started at the light as I was coming out of work, and they were
So
just
did they shoot at a vehicle or what?
No, the guy got off from the vehicle, so they pushed him off at the light. And, then he got on top of the vehicle, he started yelling for help. So I was like, man, and because I was driving, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't
Okay,
get
so
my
the
phone
suspects
running.
were inside the car when they shot him?
Yes, and he got on top of
What
the
kind of
hood.
vehicle is it?
It was a, oh my God, I didn't even pay attention to the vehicle because everything just
Was it a
happened
black
so
car,
fast.
truck, SUV?
It was a black car, 4-door. And there's probably right now 4 people right now in that vehicle. And
There were 4 people inside the vehicle?
he was, oh my God, they shot him in the face. He's dead. I'm sorry.
Where is he laying right now?
He's on the floor. Yes,
At the Chick-fil-A?
yes.
How long ago was it when they shot him?
I'm sorry.
How long ago was it when they shot him?
I'd say probably like, 3 minutes ago. And they stuffed some stuff in his mouth. Yeah, they stuffed the weed in his mouth. And he kept on screaming for help, and he got on top of the car, the hood of the car. There's still a pulse on it. Somebody's checking the pulse. There's still a pulse.
Which way did the vehicle go?
It went off on 410 on Blanco.
Which one, eastbound, westbound?
Westbound.
Did you see what kind of weapon they used?
No, sir, I didn't think nothing of it, so I kept on going slow and straight, but they turned into Chick-fil-A and they just shot him, and I saw the gunshot, like, that's when I just turned into the other street, and I
Okay,
stopped, because I didn't want them to see me.
so y'all are at the entrance of the Chick-fil-A?
Yeah,
Okay.
right in the entrance.
Do you have any other information on the
A black
suspect?
Kia, a black Kia.
Nothing, black Kia?
Yeah,
Are you by the person that got shot?
right now, yes. Some other persons are here, and they're also witnesses to the vehicle as well.
What is your last name?
My last name is Delgado, Ana Delgado, and I just got out from working for Papados.
The phone number I have to call back is the 210-602-8332?
Yes, yes. Oh my God, hurry.
I got the call out for an officer to go out there. I'm just updating the call as we go, okay?
Okay.
Can you tell me if the people in the car were black, Hispanic, white? Were you able to see or no?
I'm thinking they were Hispanic. I believe they were Hispanic. But it looks like they were really beating him up, honestly. He had bumps on his head.
So did you hear a gunshot or what?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
How many gunshots did you hear?
Just one.
Okay.
One.
Let me know when the officers get
Just
there.
one. They're right here. Officers here.
Okay.
Officers.
Go ahead and talk to them, all right?
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye-bye.
I'll show you what's been marked in it. Well. And do you recognize what that is, a still photo of?
Yes.
And what do you believe is shown in that photo?
That's where the incident happened,
And,
and that's my vehicle behind there.
and that would be your vehicle on the access road?
Correct. And
And-
that confirms on what had happened.
And previously you had witnessed a video, is that correct?
Mhm.
And you identified your vehicle in this still photo behind, on the access road, behind a four-door black vehicle, is that correct?
Yeah.
Sustained.
Let me ask you,
Secretary, disregard the question.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're to disregard that last question.
let me ask you this. Does this fairly and accurately represent April 23rd, 2017, roughly 5 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yes.
Thank you. Senator Defense, we're asking to be entered into evidence, Your Honors. Senator Defense, for any objections?
Your Honor, may I take a witness on a brief voir dire?
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Hi, doing good.
You were shown State's Exhibit 12 a second ago, a photograph, correct?
Mhm.
And you said that that's a still capture from a lengthier video, correct?
Correct.
The video shows lots of cars over the course of it, right? Is there any particular thing about this that makes your car stand out to us? I mean, is it difficult to actually see? Matt?
On the still, on that picture, it is hard to see, but on the actual video, you can kind of see. And it confirms on what I saw, what was happening on that day.
So fair to say this really doesn't very accurately depict what you saw on another image at a different time, right? It's just an approximation of it.
What do you mean? Sorry. Can you?
You wouldn't be able to just spot, oh, that's my car based on this photograph, would you?
Not on this photograph.
We would just object it doesn't fairly accurately depict.
Response?
Your Honor, she's testified that this is a still photo from a video that she witnessed in the entirety. At this time, we're not entering that video. We're asking to enter this portion for the trier of fact to be able to view this vehicle that she's identified as hers.
May I see State's Exhibit number 12, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
You know, just for
I'll sit down.
also for the record, Your Honor, what I would further say about my objection is that it's a fisheye camera photograph, and that's, I think, why it doesn't fairly and accurately depict.
All right, State's Exhibit number 12 is admitted.
Thank you.
Yes.
Showing the jury on the overhead, the photo that you just described, and you're stating that this is your vehicle on the access road?
Right.
And is this that four-door black vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. And is this there's an individual on is there somebody on that hood? Is that-
Your Honor, I'm gonna object.
Well, what is your objection?
Well, the predicate was laid that this is a photograph of her vehicle, and now he's asking whether someone's climbing on the hood, implying that it's the vehicle.
Okay,
in question.
so what is your legal objection, counsel?
That she has either she has no personal knowledge or it isn't what the state purported it to be when they offered the exhibit. I don't know which.
All right, so State, you may lay your foundation into both parties. If you're going to use the Elmo and you want a witness to point to something, I'm going to ask, because it will be easier for the jurors, it's easier for the parties, if the person will step down. And whenever you have to step down into the well of the court, just remember to keep your voice up so that the jurors can hear as well.
Okay.
Now, with regards to your question, if you'll step down, please. They have something on the Elmo, and then ask your question, make your objection, and the court will make a ruling.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna ask you, whose vehicle is that right there?
That would be mine.
And whose vehicle is this right here?
That would be the gentleman, the black car.
Black car. And what do you view on that black car?
The passenger side of the front door is open.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the victim
Okay. And where is the victim located at?
on the hood.
Okay, thank you. You can take a seat, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Your Honor, may I briefly voir dire the witness again before I make my objection?
Your Honor.
No, you
I'm
can
not
cross-examine the witness if the state is passing the witness.
Passing the witness, Your Honor.
All right, the witness has been passed.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Good.
You said that photograph that you were shown was taken from a lengthier video, correct?
Correct.
That the prosecutor showed you?
Yes.
When did that occur?
During one of the interviews that I had.
Okay, and a moment ago, when the prosecutor showed you that photograph, he didn't ask you whether or not it depicted any other cars that you recognized. He only asked you whether it depicted your car, correct?
Mhm.
He didn't ask you, I'm sorry, ma'am, the reporter can't write down. Mhm.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so he didn't ask you any questions about the car that's sort of in the top center of the frame until after the exhibit was admitted, right?
Yes.
Okay. Fair to say that you have greater context and the reasons why Exhibit 12 stands out to you is because you watched that whole video.
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, under optional completeness, we would ask that the entirety of this surveillance footage be admitted contemporaneously with this so that it isn't so misleading, number one, if the court.
Well, just 1 second. He would like the entirety of the video admitted.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, so they say they have no objections. Do you have the video?
Go ahead. Yeah.
If we could just have it admitted.
And I don't know if you all want to mark that as a defense exhibit.
Yes,
or-
please.
All right.
That's not
And what number would that be for the defense?
Then this
Two.
is two. Had some. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No problem.
I feel better. This is violent.
Yeah, there's no audio on it at all. Or everything else.
And could I have parties approach, please? All right, and so the exhibit is marked defense exhibit number 2?
It's marked number 2, Your Honor. I will offer it in a moment. Now, ma'am, fair to say, at this moment in time, you would not have had an opportunity to see the things that are displayed in in States 12, right? Because you're behind that car that's depicted in the photograph, correct?
Yes,
So you can't say whether that's a fair and accurate depiction of what took place on the front of the car as you're driving past it behind the car.
correct.
Okay. And to that point, we hear on that 911 call that the state played of you, you say something to the effect of they stuffed weed in his mouth. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, I do.
But to be fair, you wouldn't have been able to see anything of the sort because you had already passed the car by the point that the man was on the ground, right?
Correct.
And you didn't see anyone stuffing weed in the man's mouth while they were in traffic, did you?
No, I did not.
And you didn't see anyone get out of the vehicle and run over to the man on the ground and put weed in his mouth, did you?
No, I sure didn't.
Okay, so when you say that on the video, that's not a present sense impression of yours. It's not something you saw with your own eyes. It's just what you assumed based on seeing a baggie of marijuana next to his body.
I saw the marijuana stuffed in his mouth when I went to go see the victim. So the marijuana was already stuffed in his mouth. I did see a little bag of marijuana next to the victim.
But as to how it got there, you don't have any personal knowledge.
No,
He could have eaten it for all you know.
maybe.
Okay. You indicated that you started to observe this situation when your vehicle was behind the black car in traffic, correct?
Repeat that again. I'm
When
sorry.
you were in traffic on the access
Mhm.
road, you were behind him. That's when you first noticed there was something going on.
Correct.
And you also indicated in your call that you weren't quite sure about the color of the vehicle, but then you heard somebody else say it was black, and that's what you tell the operator. Do you remember that?
No, I recall black vehicle, that it was a black vehicle in front of us. I just didn't know what kind of vehicle it
Whether it
was.
was a Kia or a
Wait,
Ford.
if it was a Kia or what, but I did hear other people around. Yes.
Okay. You indicated to the 911 operator that you were driving, but you said that your husband was driving.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not a major point, but do you actually recall which one it was?
My husband was driving.
Okay.
Yes.
So you noticed that all of the individuals in the vehicle were Hispanic, or at least that's what you thought from your vantage point?
At least that's what I believed.
Okay.
Yes.
And you gave a statement previous where you indicated you didn't know the race of the person who you believe was shooting the gun.
No.
But you didn't actually see anyone shoot, did you?
I saw the victim getting shot.
You actually saw him fall off the car
Correct.
as your car is speeding by, you were craning your head around to look. Is
I
that?
wasn't speeding by, I was slowly passing, while that was happening.
And you saw him get shot in the face.
Not in the face. I just saw him get shot.
You told the operator that he was shot in the head. Do you recall that?
Well, because he was laying on the ground, I saw the victim laying on the ground. That's why I said what I said.
Okay, so you're basing the idea that he was shot in the head on what you saw after the fact,
After.
kind of like the marijuana part.
Yes.
Okay. You saw him kick the windshield of the car, right?
Yes, that I did.
And that happened as your vehicle was passing the vehicle parked at the Chick-fil-A, right?
Yes, everything happened so fast. As soon as they, turned into Chick-fil-A, the victim stood up and he stomped his foot on the windshield, shattered it. That's when the gentleman from the passenger side, the front passenger side, steps out. Half of his body, of course, just 1 foot out, leans over and just shoots him. And I just see him fall. And that's when, after that, I just pass. We enter where the Jason's Deli's at.
And you don't know whether there were other guns in that car or not, right?
No, I
didn't
don't.
see one way or the other. Okay. indicated that you saw bumps on his head, but again, to be clear, those are things you saw from when you went to go see the body in the parking lot.
Correct.
Okay. And you don't know how many times the man stomped the windshield, because that's all going on as you're passing the car.
Right.
Okay. You didn't hear anything that the people were discussing or yelling in traffic clearly, did you?
No, I just heard the gentleman asking for help, yelling for help. That's it.
You were listening to music, right?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You recall that you gave a statement previously to law enforcement and actually signed an affidavit about the events of that day. Do you remember that?
I was probably listening to music prior to that, and then of course I had rolled down my window because
May
I can
approach
hear
that?
him yelling.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at what you wrote with the police that day? I'm going to show you what I've marked for identification as defendants 3. We take a look here. Is that your name, ma'am?
Yes,
And that's your correct date of birth?
correct.
Does this appear to be accurately the sworn signed statement that you gave to law enforcement back
Yes.
in 2017? If I call your attention to these sentences here, if you could just read them to yourself, don't read them out loud. Let me know when you're finished.
Yes.
Okay. So fair to say, you told the police back then that you were listening to music when you noticed the altercation, right?
Yes.
Okay. You indicated that the man that eventually you saw on the hood of the car originally got out of the vehicle, and then he was sort of running around in traffic to different doors of the car, right?
I didn't say running around. I said he was pushed out of the car, which is the back passenger door. He was pushed out. Then they closed the door. They weren't able, he was trying to open the door. He went to the other side to try to open those other doors. They weren't opening. That's when he jumped on the hood.
Okay, so he was moving around in open traffic while that light was red, trying different ways of getting back into the car.
Yes.
It wasn't like he was pushed out and he started to run away.
No, he got pushed out, but he was trying to get back in.
Okay. And it was after those attempts that he got on the hood of the car, right?
Yes.
And then he stomped the windshield.
At the Chick-fil-A, in front of the Chick-fil-A, yes.
Okay. May we approach you?
Yes. Y'all, 5-minute recess. Remember my previous instructions.
All right.
Do you just want us to report us to see the it and then?
No, I want to offer. Because I'm all going. I'm a lady picture of a car. Yes, that's my car. This is easy big fella.
Do you have means to do it or do you need?
You still have that CD drive?
Yeah, we have what if you need it.
Just give us a sec.
We'll
We're gonna
step
it's-
into the.
Okay, we're just gonna speed
It
through it.
might take that long to load it.
I don't think anybody comes back with a sign saying it's me taking.
Well, you never know. I just want one.
Yeah.
I just pulled that one off of the CD and we're just gonna put that one in.
Oh, you just want that?
Okay, that's
the full
fine.
video.
Okay, I'll take the disc.
Okay, you
off.
want to show it to me?
Yeah, that's.
Okay, Judge, do you mind? They wanted to pull something off that defense exhibit 1 and offer that one video. Is that right?
We just pulled the one angle we think is the angle that, I want to show her this angle and make sure that's the one she saw. But it's that way we're not offering a bunch of different angles for no reason.
All right, so then you need to change your requests on the record because I think on the record you said for optional completeness, you want the entire video. So now you're not wanting the entire video?
Well, it is the entire video that she saw, but it's not 5 different videos from 5 different camera angles.
But that exhibit D2 is a full video. So if,
Full video of what has been truncated for states 12.
Judge, just to say it plainly, the 3 videos at Chick-fil-A on 3 different cameras. That's, I think he's wanting just the angle that is presently in front of her.
all right, so this is what I want. I want the record to be clear. To present the entirety of D2. Now my understanding is, okay, so
Her in the background of the photograph. The photograph depicts a black car parked in the Chick-fil-A parking lot. I can't tell that there's anyone on the hood, but I guess if you look at it really carefully and you squint and you think about what we're here today to talk about, it's Mr. Saldivar on top of the hood of that car. It's a still of that video. The video itself is what, 5 minutes in length, 6 minutes in length? And I wanted that whole video to be introduced through optional completeness. Mr. Garahan hands me a CD, and this isn't Mr. Garahan's fault, but the CD has 3 different videos on it. And only one of them is pertinent to the question of what this witness was asked to authenticate through states 12. And so I just want the video.
I just want to correct one thing there, and then I'll hand it back to you. When we were up at the bench, I did indicate to defense that it had the 3 different angles on there. I did tell that to defense, just that defense exhibit, whatever its numbered is, that it had all the camera angles of Chick-fil-A. So I just didn't want to mislead the court there. I did let them know that.
Well, he did. Up to this point, nothing has been offered. The relief I'm seeking is that the footage that is the subject of the still photograph the state offered is admitted through the rule of optional completeness.
so this is what I want. Somebody explain to me, what am I saying that is incorrect? Defense exhibit number 2. State, was that defense exhibit number 2? Was that not the disc you had?
It was,
Yeah.
Judge.
And did we label that, or I say we, but did the defense label it as defense exhibit number 2?
They did, Judge.
Did defense say that they wanted, and defense, correct me if I'm wrong, you said you wanted to enter into evidence defense exhibit number 2, the disc that was handed to you from the state under the rule of optional completeness. Am I incorrect in that?
No,
That happened.
And then I called you all up to the bench and I said, are you all sure? Do y'all need to watch this to make sure it is what everybody says it is? Am I incorrect in that?
You're not incorrect.
All right, so I don't know why I have to keep repeating myself with regards to that. And now defense is saying, actually, from the state's exhibit that became the defense exhibit number 2, we don't want the entirety of that video. We only want this portion. Am I wrong in my
Yes,
interpretation?
that aspect of it, Your Honor, is.
All right, so thank you. So let's
No,
let's
it's
do
wrong.
that.
It's wrong
Let's
because
do
there are
that.
3
Let's
videos.
do that. Go
We're not
ahead.
asking for that. We never have.
You
There are
all
3.
just said that you're asking for only a portion of it. So
You're
go
wrong.
ahead and delete, remove whatever or redact whatever you need redacted to show that portion.
We can show counsel and the court,
It's
real
a
quick, we've got the footage now.
No other option was available to me. I now realize I can take.
Are you available to come back tomorrow?
I would have to put in my day.
All right, we'll stay till you're finished with your testimony. Bring the jury in.
Your Honor, if we could just for one moment allow opposing counsel to see the exhibit we prepared so that we can actually effectuate this. I understand from the purpose of the record, the court's upset with me. The court's tone of voice indicates that. That's the demeanor.
Here's the thing. Number one, I'm not upset with anybody. I don't get upset with counsels. What I can tell you is I don't like people over talking me. I don't like people who are not listening to my ruling or people who are not accepting my ruling and continue to push their points when I've already made my ruling. So the record can reflect, Cindy, that the court is not upset with the state's attorneys. The court is not upset with the defense attorneys.
And I
Now,
think the
that
record
is
needs
what
to
the
reflect
court-
that I
that is
don't
what the
agree
court
with the
is
court's
saying.
interpretation of that. But that's just how I see it.
All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back tomorrow. And the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone. You're not allowed to discuss or say anything about this trial until these proceedings are completed. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And if you'll leave your mic behind, please.
I love.
Judge, I didn't know what time you told the witness.
We will be back tomorrow at 1:30.
1:30.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
See you all back at 1:30. Whatever y'all need to do with the video, you have until 1:30 tomorrow.